Hare Krishna. My name is Jagajivan Das, disciple of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. I first was interested in spiritual life in 1967 in New York. At that time I was going to meetings of Madame Blavatsky's Theosophy Society in New York. They had a Bhagavad Gita, very thin, small Bhagavad Gita, which I bought and I began to study. It seemed to me at the time that this Bhagavad Gita was not so complete. There was something missing. And I became a little frustrated at these meetings where those who spoke in a very ethereal way, but it wasn't very substantially concerning the truth of things. So I was very put off by that. And also about the Bhagavad, I was thinking there must be more to the Bhagavad Gita than this. So I immediately bought many books on Sanskrit and started studying Sanskrit at that time, with the idea of one day translating myself the Bhagavad Gita. That was my idea. So I had worked sometime in New York after I finished high school, and I saved some money up and decided to find myself. And so I took my bad copy of the Bhagavad Gita, my Sanskrit books, bought a canoe, and then decided to go alone canoeing on the Georgian Bay. The Georgian Bay in Canada is like this big sea, it's huge. So I started on this journey of the self, looking for who I really was, So I did this for about 3 months alone, and in the sun, and I was like completely black from burnt from the sun, burnt and reburnt. And I would stop at night and prepare something to eat and sleep on the shore like this, until there was some big storm. And in this, although it was like a lake, the storm made it very bad weather, and I had to be rescued by some, because I was in the sea at the time when I was in the water, so they had to rescue me. So they came and rescued me, and they took me to this family that was there, and I stayed with them for some time, short time, and then some boy had a Volkswagen bus, and he came and he said, "I'm going to Alaska. Do you want to come?" I said, "Okay, why not?" So we went to Alaska, which is very far away. But as we went, we didn't have money, so we would stop and work for a short time and then go, and finally I got to Alaska. In Alaska, I was able to purchase Prabhupada's unabridged Bhagavad Gita, this old Bhagavad Gita that the Macmillan Company had made. And at that point I said, "Oh, this is the real Bhagavad Gita. This is the real Bhagavad Gita." And I had to, and I gave up my little Bhagavad Gita that was not very substantial. And I also stopped studying Sanskrit at the time, because what is the use? Here is the essence of truth in the Bhagavad Gita. I didn't know Prabhupada at the time, but I was very enthused by his words in his Bhagavad Gita, and I was always reading it. Then after some time, a year and a half, after doing many things in Alaska, such as rafting down the Yukon River, I was doing plays and acting at the time. We put on programs for the Eskimo villages on the river. Okay, so finally I returned to New York, and there met the devotees. I had bought a Back to Godhead magazine, which was the first we started, because they were printed in New York by the press. We were devotees were distributing those more than anything else. This is what they would do on Harinam and distribute this, this magazine. So I had bought it, and it had the address and everything like that. Somehow or other, it was either stolen or some arrangement was made by, I don't know who, that the magazine was lost. I had no way of knowing where the devotees were. So I said, oh, this is horrible. I want to now see these people, who were so much impressed me. And I had seen in some magazine also, there were some pictures of devotees offering obeisances also, some small article. So all these things were impressing me. But 6 months passed, and I couldn't find them. Then one friend of mine who was working with me in New York before I went on to Alaska, he told me he's going to, with his girlfriend, he's going to go to some temple, and if I wanted to go with them. And I'd have to meet them on one corner in the city, somewhere in Brooklyn. There are different boroughs of New York, and Brooklyn is one of them. So I went to this corner where they told me to meet them, and they weren't there. They didn't go. So I said, "Ooh, what to do?" So I started walking on the street, and I passed this place that looked different. It was very illuminating. It was very refulgent. And this one brownstone building. So I said, oh, this must be it, the place that they told me about. So I walked into their place, and it was the temple on Henry Street in Brooklyn. And on Sundays, this was a Sunday, they had a swing festival for their small Radha Krishna, Radha Govinda deities. Every Sunday they would have this swing festival. So one devotee would stay on one side, a mother would stay on the other, and anyone who came in, they would offer flowers and push the swing. So as soon as I came in, they had me offer flowers and push the swing for Radha Govinda. This was my first service. And one mother afterwards, they gave me some maha, and then I was sent upstairs to watch the play, because they had a play also. The Vaikuntha Players were their local troupe, acting troupe. So they were, I was waiting, and since I was doing a lot of acting before, off Broadway and other places, it was very interesting for me to see what they would do, So I was waiting, and the stage had all these lights and all these wires, and it was just like filled with wires and lights. And I said, wow, this is amazing. And then one brahmachari comes, and he starts, plugging in nothing's working. He's plugging in the wires and here and doing this. I said, wow, this is a really far out play. How the material world doesn't work. How they it was. So this was actually Pancharatna Prabhu. He was trying to get the lights to work, for the play, which was later on. So he was doing this, and I said, oh, I was thinking that was the play, but it wasn't. He was the temple commander, and Rupanuga Prabhu was the president, and so many other devotees, who we see now, different. They're old now, everyone is old, some have died, some have left their bodies. So that was a New York temple, and this was over 40 years ago. Yeah. This was like 1970. 43 years ago, like that. So that was the first temple I joined. As soon as I came in, I said, this is the place I have to be. This is the place. So I immediately said, I thought that I have to dedicate my life to this. So I would go, at that time, I was taking care of my mother's house, which was like 3 hours away, and they would come out on the weekends. So I would take care of it during the week, and then come back during the weekend, and stay in the temple. At that time, I had this huge beard, like huge beard, long hair. If you look at there's a picture, there's a painting in the Chaitanya Charitamrita with Sanatana Goswami and the Hussein Shah. So they used me as the model. If you look at the face, you'll see that that's my face in this painting they made, So I had this huge beard, and I would come to the temple. This was like months and months I was doing this, going. And the devotees would come out. The Sankirtan party would, just book distributors would come out, and they would go to different places, and they would stop off at my house, and I would cook for them and like that. And one of the brahmacharis his name was Ramapad. He's one of the brahmacharis who came, the Sankirtan leader. He would come out too. And so eventually, devotees were insisting that you should shave up. You should shave up and surrender. What is it? Why are you? What they had this policy that the guests, they would take prasad, they would serve the prasadam first to the guests. So I would always get the prasadam first, because I was always the guest. I hadn't shaved up, so they thought, oh, he's a guest, give him prasad first. So, then the devotees thought, well, this is not you're doing some scam here. This is not good. You are only doing this so you could get more prasadam. Or prasadam first. So I decided I have to shave up. But I was a little worried that my mother would, when she saw me shaved up, she would be a little, So I decided to go to my house and in front of my mother, shave up. So this way she wouldn't be, it wouldn't be so. So I did that. And my mother looked at me, she said, when you were a baby, you had a nice head, she said. She said like that. So you had a nice head. But this way it was easier for her. So then I came back to the temple. At that time, there were some devotees going to India at the time. And many devotees the temple devotees didn't know, they were passing through, So when I come back, after shaving my whole beard, my head, no one knew who I was, although I was there for many months before. They didn't know who it was, So I came, so they asked me what temple you were from, It's like that. I said, I'm from this temple. I said, what? You're not from this temple. So like this, I was playing a little with the devotees. At that time, I was also rooming with the temple president, who was Rupanuga Prabhu, and his wife also did a trick on him. And when I come in the door, she introduces me as one of the devotees who are going to India. And so I offer my obeisances to him, and then he starts laughing while he's paying his obeisance. He realized it's me, that's not, because I was staying in the same room as him. He was his roommate. He didn't want me to become corrupted by the other brahmacharis, who were, they knew what was going on. They were stealing prasadam here and there. They were doing what brahmacharis do, They were like, so they didn't want me to become corrupted by this influence, So that was the beginning of my Krishna conscious career in Henry Street in the temple. Many devotees are older leaders. Jayadvaita Swami was a brahmachari there, and so many other devotees, older devotees in our movement, they became devotees there. And so after that I traveled, I helped, I went to Atlanta. I was initiated in 1972 by Prabhupada in New Vrindavan, and helped on several of our political campaigns, both in Atlanta. Balavanta ran for office, and then in Dallas, Amarenja runs for mayor of Dallas, Texas. also, and he asked me to go. I went with him there. Then I started, then I was asked to open temple, help open the temple in Puerto Rico. And I went there, and I realized that the training I had in Spanish, because I failed Spanish at school, so I had to take it in summer school, because I had failed it, so I had to take it again. I said, why do I have to take this? I was wondering why. So here I was using, and when I went to Puerto Rico, they speak Spanish, so I was able to speak Spanish. And from there I met Prabhupada in Vrindavan, then New York again, and then met him again in Los Angeles, Prabhupada. And I was able to go out on his morning walk and chant for him, and he liked the way I chanted. Prabhupada said, he liked very much how I chanted. So then from there we went to South America, to Argentina. I was president of the temple in Argentina. So from 73 on, I was temple president. So 40 years I've had some position or leadership in the Krishna Consciousness movement. 40 years this year. So 40th anniversary of leadership. From temple president, then I was regional secretary, then I was, in 78, I became GBC. Of the temples that I had opened, I opened Peru, Bolivia, and Chile for Krishna Consciousness. After the government closed us in Argentina, I went back to open that, and I helped open our temple in Paraguay, as well as some things I helped in Brazil. So I had this relationship, opening temples. At that time, we were very adventurous, We have to revive this adventurous spirit, to go and open places. Anyway, that's sort of the simple, not detailed account of what was done, And, but I was thinking, how can I serve Krishna? As a good soldier is always there waiting for his orders. He's always standing at attention, waiting for his orders. We have to be like the good soldiers who are waiting for that Krishna gives us some order, Or Krishna it may be even like a little small suggestion to do something. And we have to be ready, at attention, to do that, to fulfill his desire. So as Prabhupada, as we were very attentive to Prabhupada's even small desires, and then we were wanting to fulfill those desires. So we have to have that mentality again, to understand how Krishna wants us to do certain things for him in his service. Be like the good soldier, always ready to fulfill the order or even the small desires of the master. So I've always had that idea. Sometimes Krishna, then he suggests something for you to do, and you say, okay, I'll do it, I'm ready. And then he says, no, I wanted to see if you were going to do it, but I don't want you to do it. Do something else. So anyway, we have to be attentive to his desires, how he will help us, how he will guide us in different services. Hare Krishna.